The 1980s, a decade of big hair, bold colors, and a future you could feel in the air. It was a world drenched in neon, powered by synthesizers, and convinced that the 21st century was just one blockbuster movie away. They promised us a future that was cooler, faster, and more cybernetically enhanced. And in some ways, they were shockingly, eerily correct. They predicted the powerful, wearable computer you have on your wrist right now. But they also promised that this would be a thing of the past. So, what happened? How could one decade be so brilliant in its foresight and so gloriously, hilariously wrong in its ambitions? So today, we are jacking into the past. We're not just looking at what the 80s got right or wrong. We are decoding why. We will count down the most accurate predictions and the most spectacular failures of 80s futurism to understand the unique soul of a decade that dreamed of a digital frontier, even if it couldn't quite figure out the traffic.
Let's start with their single greatest, most profound prediction, a concept so powerful it redefined not just science fiction, but reality itself. Our first hit, cyberspace. Before the 1980s, computers were for calculations. The 80s imagined them as a place. Novels like William Gibson's Neuromancer and films like Tron gave us the vision of a vast digital frontier, a consensual hallucination, as Gibson called it, where data was a landscape and information was a physical presence. They didn't just predict the internet, they predicted the feeling of being online. They predicted social media, virtual reality, and the very idea of a digital identity. They saw a future where our lives, our economies, and even our wars would be fought not in the physical world, but within the glowing grid of the Matrix. They got it spectacularly right.
But if they predicted our digital lives, they completely missed our analog appetites. This brings us to our first miss, the food synthesizer. From the pizza hydrator in Back to the Future Part 2 to the nutrient paste in countless dystopian films, the 80s was convinced that the future of food was efficiency. The promise was simple: a perfectly balanced, scientifically engineered meal created instantly at the push of a button. No more farming, no more cooking, just pure, convenient sustenance. So what went wrong? The 80s correctly predicted that technology could do this, but they completely failed to predict that we wouldn't want it to. They missed the human factor. They forgot that we don't just eat for fuel, we eat for pleasure, for culture, for connection. They dreamed of a future of efficient food pills while we were busy building a future of artisanal bakeries and farmers markets. It's the perfect example of the 80s paradox, a decade that could see our digital souls with perfect clarity, but couldn't imagine we'd still want a good slice of pizza.
The 80s didn't just see a future of digital worlds. They saw a future where the digital world would be woven into our very bodies. This brings us to our next stunning hit, Wearable Computers. From Michael Knight's communicator watch in Knight Rider to the vital signs monitors in Aliens, the 80s was obsessed with the idea of technology you could wear, a device that was always on, always connected, and always a part of you. This wasn't just a prediction of the smartwatch. It was a prediction of our entire modern ecosystem of wearable tech, our fitness trackers, our Bluetooth headsets, our augmented reality glasses. The 80s understood that the ultimate interface is no interface at all. The technology simply becomes an extension of yourself. As 42% of you in our community poll guessed, this is a future they got almost perfectly right. But if they nailed our wearable tech, they spectacularly failed to predict what we'd be wearing with it. This leads to our next glorious miss, the cyberpunk fashion. Big shoulder pads, neon-drenched leather, asymmetrical haircuts, and of course, a healthy dose of chrome and visible wiring. The 80s was convinced that as our technology became more extreme, our fashion would follow suit. The street samurai, the netrunner, the biohacked punk, these were the style icons of the 21st century. So what happened? The 80s forgot one crucial rule of human nature: comfort is king. We didn't end up with chrome-plated trench coats and LED-lit hairstyles. We ended up with hoodies, sweatpants, and sneakers. The ultimate cyberpunk accessory isn't a pair of mirror shades, it's a pair of noise-canceling headphones to block out the world. The rebellion wasn't external, it became internal.
This is the core of our mission here at the Future Past, decoding these pop culture blueprints that so powerfully shaped our vision of tomorrow. If you believe that exploring these sometimes brilliant, sometimes hilarious dreams helps us understand our own present, consider joining our crew by subscribing. Your support is the fuel that allows us to continue these archaeological digs. Now, we've seen the digital world and the personal world, but what about the physical world? What about the biggest promise of them all? We've seen the digital worlds and the personal tech, but every vision of the 80s was built on one single spectacular promise, the ultimate symbol of the future, our final and most famous miss, the flying car. From the rain-slicked skies of Blade Runner to the friendly skies of Back to the Future, the 80s was certain that by the 21st century, roads would be a quaint memory. We were promised a future of personal airborne freedom, a vertical world of skyways and aerial traffic. So where is it? This is the one prediction that failed not because of human nature, but because of cold, hard physics and brutal logistics. The 80s wildly underestimated the sheer complexity of it all. The energy required for vertical lift, the impossibility of managing air traffic for millions of vehicles, the noise pollution, and the terrifying consequences of a simple fender bender 1,000 feet in the air. The flying car wasn't just a technological challenge, it was a logistical nightmare. They gave us the dream, but they forgot to do the math. But while they were looking at the skies, they almost missed the revolution that was happening inside the machine. This brings us to our final and most prescient hit, the rise of artificial intelligence. The 80s didn't just give us killer robots like the Terminator. It gave us HAL 9000, the ship's computer in 2001. It gave us KITT in Knight Rider. It gave us the very idea of a conversational, thinking, and sometimes dangerously independent AI. They predicted the rise of virtual assistants that could talk to us, manage our lives, and even become our companions. They explored the ethical dilemmas of creating a mind that could surpass our own. They weren't just predicting a technology, they were predicting a new form of life. And today, we are living in the middle of that prophecy. We talk to our phones, our cars, and our homes. We are witnessing the birth of generative AIs that can create art, write poetry, and pass the bar exam. The 80s may have failed to predict the flying car, but they gave us the perfect roadmap for the strange, brilliant, and terrifying new intelligence that is already reshaping our world from the inside out. In the end, the futurism of the 1980s was a beautiful paradox. It was a decade of incredible foresight and glorious blindness. It saw our digital souls with perfect clarity, but it thought we'd be exploring them dressed in leather and chrome. They failed on the hardware, but they absolutely nailed the software. They missed the flying cars, but they gave us the code for our connected, virtual, and artificially intelligent world. Here at the Future Past, we believe that exploring these sometimes brilliant, sometimes hilarious dreams is essential. The 80s was the last great era of unapologetic, specific futurism. It didn't just dream of a better tomorrow, it dreamed of this car, this jacket, this computer. These stories are the monoliths of our recent past. They are the source code of our digital anxieties and our greatest technological hopes. They don't give us a perfect roadmap, they give us a benchmark for our own ambitions, a mirror to our own choices. And they remind us that the future is never quite what we expect, but sometimes the reality we get is even stranger, more complex, and more interesting than the dream. If you were captivated by this journey into the synthwave dream of the future, subscribe to our channel and join the conversation below. Let us know, which 80s prediction were you most excited for that didn't happen? Join us as we continue to unearth the incredible futures that never were.